I need people, women and men, boys and girls, young and old, to know that you don't have to have a struggle story to be successful. I've never fit in, and actually, that's where I'm meant to be. The minute I try to fit in, everything falls down.
Hello and welcome to the Social Corner with me, Daina Anderson. My guest today is a talented speaker, author and community engagement specialist with over 15 years of experience working with local communities. As the CEO of an award-winning charity, she is passionate about supporting children, young people and families in living their lives on purpose. And I'm so happy to have her in the studio with me today. Sabrina, welcome to the Social Corner.
Thank you for having me.
Do you know, I was saying to these guys, because as you know, this is a bonus episode. Yeah. But one of the things when I was putting together season 2 was I just felt like there were so many men and there wasn't enough women. And I really wanted to have 3 powerful women on the show, and I only had the one for the season. And then just the way things work out, and you know, you've come to be on this episode and you make my 3rd, and I'm so happy that you're here because I feel we have a lot to talk about.
Yes, I think we do.
How's your week been?
Oh, my week has been absolutely jam-packed solid. I have not stopped. This is like the slowest day. Really amazing week, lots of networking. So I've been in spaces with some C-suite professionals, lots of men, actually.
Okay.
I mean,
we love the men.
I love you, men. But man, it's nice to have some women in the room as well when we're in those powerful places. I think that's something. I think something's happening there. There's a little fire that's starting to stoke up in me. When I'm in these rooms, I'm looking for the women, or looking for an equivalent, or someone that's beyond us, surpassed what I've done.
Yes.
But there wasn't very many. It's probably one room, I was the only woman at the table for a while.
Wow. As you said, we love men and everything, but it's you need to see yourself in those positions of power, those positions of representation. Yeah. And we're coming off the back of Women's Month, well, I suppose International Women's Month. Mm-hmm. What does it mean to you to have female empowerment?
It's everything, and the reason why I think I get so passionate about rooms is because, well, we have to be there so that we can bring up the rest. Obviously, the work that we do in the charities, all about inspiring young people and their families. But for me, I've had women in my life, my mom, I've had my grandparents, some aunties, some friends, cousins, family members that have all done super powerful things and amazing things. But the only thing is, they haven't shared it. So they're not visible.
Why are we like that?
I don't know. I can talk to myself. Why am I like that? Because I'm only just talking about what I do now.
Yeah.
And that's probably because we're on a different pathway. We're on a sort of a trajectory of sharing more of our work. But I feel like we just want to get on with it. Yeah. And we're so busy getting on with it. Time's passing by, and then you've got a niece or a daughter. Having 4 daughters, I feel like they're watching me.
Yeah.
Well, they are watching me. I get questioned on a daily what I was doing. But I feel like we have to be open. We have to be visible. Young people and families and people in general need to know that we exist.
Absolutely, absolutely. When I was doing the intro, there was so many titles that you hold that weren't mentioned. You are a wife, a mother, a CEO, a speaker, an author. Of all the titles that you hold, which one would you say comes first?
Oh, I'm Sabrina. I'm Sabrina Dennis.
Okay.
That's probably like, whoa, right? And this is learning for me because in the past I have been wife first. And then I've been mum first. I was mum first before I was wife. And then I was wife, and I was mum, and mum, and been mum for ages. I'm proud of my children and love being a mum. And then CEO is something that, as powerful as it might sound, really isn't. It's just a title. It's not that. I don't really look at it as like, oh my God, I hold a lot of responsibility. I'm responsible for a lot of staff, a lot of people, a lot of money that gets given to the charity and things like that. So it's a place of responsibility, but it's not everything.
firstly,
I have to be Sabrina Dennis.
That's okay. So let's stick there then for Sabrina Dennis. And, you know, I'm going to rewind slightly to when I think I've met you over the years, but the first time I actually can say I was in your presence, I did a documentary with your husband, and you did a joint interview, and he talked about when you both first met, and that story was very touching. You know, we might touch on that later, but he talked a little bit about that, and you spoke about your account of it. But that was the only slice of the pie of you, and that was it. And then it was like, and there she goes.
And there she goes, off into the you can't find her. She's just doing the stuff that she's been doing. That is pretty much me. That's what I've been doing.
But you say now you're Sabrina Dennis.
Yeah.
But Sabrina Dennis, I think many people would probably think is Nathan Dennis's wife.
Yeah. And being introduced as Nathan's wife in rooms, like, and I have no name.
I think I've done that as well, because it's like, okay, I just need to give you recognition of who this person is, but you're not just Nathan's wife. No. Who is Sabrina Dennis?
Who am I? Who even am I? Well, I was Sabrina Bedward before I was Sabrina Dennis.
Okay.
I am a woman, black woman, born to a mother and a father who were married for around 25 years. I grew up in the affluent Sutton Coldfield area with my brother, my sister, my mother and my father.
Okay.
We lived in a 5-bedroom house.
Wow.
With a driveway. And the cars were on the drive. Went to a great school. And I kind of grew up with very Caribbean heritage, like deep roots. So Saturdays were cleaning, you know.
Chores.
Don't do things by halves. Sabrina. My mum would literally get up, right, on a Saturday. And she would work. She had her own business. And I guess that's where we could talk about that later.
Yeah.
But she had her own business. And it was a cleaning and ironing business. But she used to travel. So she'd clean for like, you know, like it was MFI back in the day, like furniture superstores and stuff like that. So her business would clean those stores, as well as residential properties and stuff, do people's ironing and bits and pieces. So she'd do that in the week. And then on the weekend, she did like this like part-time job in a chemist. I don't even know why she did that, actually. I'm going to have to ask her. I don't actually know why she did it. But on the weekend, she did that, and that was 10 till 2. So she would fly out the door, like in the morning. That chemist was in Erdington, and we lived in Sutton. So she'd leave the house, and she'd always leave a note. And this is in my book. Sabrina and Leon, because by this time my sister's grown up and gone, doing her own thing. Make sure you clean up the house and put on the soup until I come back. Every Saturday, right, on the back of an envelope and a marker pen, she'd find a highlighter. So imagine neon highlighter on like the back of a BT bill. Yeah. And that's what she'd leave.
BT?
It was a BT bill or some kind of, but it was always that. And Sabrina and Leon clean up the house, and we had this bucket, and the bucket had all the cleaning products in it. It was like a mop bucket, and she'd put like the bleach, the flash, this, that in there, all the cloths that you needed. And we had to clean the house. And I had to put on the soup before she came back by 2:00. So you know how kids now can just be in their bed till 2:00? That was not my life. It was up, clothes washed, house clean, soup put on. And this is like, I'm probably like 10. I don't even know. I'm not that grown, you know, I'm young. And so that was my Saturdays. And my dad, he would be like, so my dad's an engineer, but is an engineer in many different facets. He was doing another side job. So he was trucking, so lorry driving. He used to drive those big long trucks up and down the country, dropping off stuff. So like, my family were like working hard. They'd worked super duper hard for us to live in Sutton. So we lived in Great Bar, which even, to be fair, is a really good area. But he didn't want that for us. So primary school, I was in school in Handsworth Wood. Secondary school, so Handsworth Wood, very diverse, a lot of black kids, a lot of everybody. Secondary school, I am the only black girl in my year group until year 9.
What did that do for you? So, because you started off Handsworth Wood, how old were you when you went to that school?
So that was primary school. That was like primary, 5 to 11.
So I would imagine you had a sense of understanding yourself through social groups.
Socially, you know, it's funny. I look at my children now and I think, God, you like really got friends thing, get it? Like there's always a challenge with a friend at school. I didn't have that. I can remember having like a black friend, an Asian friend, a Chinese friend, like diversity. I had that in school. And I had friends that were straight Caribbean. So I had one friend that had come from Jamaica, and she used to bring, I never forget this, hard-dough bread with plantain sandwiches to school.
That would have been my friend too.
And I didn't do that. I had school dinners, but things like that, it was normal. Like, I didn't think about race. I didn't think about my belonging. A lot of my, I guess, identity was formed at home.
What I'm picking up from you is you had a clear understanding of what your responsibilities were at that time. So you've talked a little bit about the work ethos and the responsibilities, but what was really shaping you at that young age?
It's a really good question, because I think it's only now when I look back that I realise how many different things I had put in place, how many experiences I had. So shaping me, see, I have to kind of, I don't know how to, I'm just going to say it. I never was thinking about being a young black girl.
Right.
I was thinking about, what am I going to do? So even though I was the only black girl in my year group in the school for like 3 years, and then another person joined, and in the school there's probably like 6 or 7 black kids in a student body of like 1,500. Being black was obvious because I'm black. But it was never something that I was... So that people would say, well, what about, you must have experienced like racism, and no, not to me. I experienced a lot of ignorance, like people did not know. So my friends, because this back then, something's way more diverse now, but then it was very much like, oh my God, this is my black friend. And we talk openly about, I'm black, she's white. This is what you do in your house. Oh, that wouldn't happen in my house. We wouldn't be allowed to do that. We shared that experience.
Was it just intrigue?
And it was just intrigue. It was interest. It was like, I never felt like there was anything negative. It was genuinely, for a lot of the friends, and some of them I still speak to today, they just didn't know because they hadn't been around anybody of colour before. So in school, the head teacher and the deputy head picked up that I was really good with business, even though I didn't think I hated business studies. Oh my God, I hated it. They picked up on that and they encouraged me and they pushed me into stuff. So for me, the shaping of me was always around work hard. It was always around try new things. Go to new places.
And you never felt othered? No.
I felt more othered now. As a grown woman with pink hair walking into a room.
But pink, whenever I see someone with like boldly coloured hair, I'm like, this is a statement, because you can't miss that person when they walk in the room. What does it represent to you internally though?
Freedom.
Wow.
Freedom, like total authenticity. Like I've had comments like, how'd you get away with that? You know, how do I get away with what? Being myself. Because I'm being myself. Like, what do you want me to do? I feel like it's just me. I feel like I'm Sabrina. When my hair is done, whatever colour it is, I'm Sabrina and we're happy and let's go. And then I get women that say to me, I'll never be so confident to do that. And I think, well, what will make you feel confident? How do you show up for yourself?
Yes, that's a really strong and powerful comment, you know, because I think we're all socialized to want to fit in, and this need to fit in different spaces. I do think sometimes it takes away the authenticity of the person.
I've never fit in, and I've recently done some personal therapy on this because I've like, you know, we talked about othering and all that kind of stuff before. I was like, I've never actually fit in. If I think about my sort of not necessarily primary, but take me to my senior school experience. And if you look at the room, I'm the odd one out in the room, never fit into that space. And look at me today, and I'm the CEO of a charity, Black-led charity, Black-owned charity. And I don't know any other Black female charity CEOs, though not very many, there are a few. But there's very few who are like me. Who just show up. There's very few, I think, that probably have 4 kids. You know, I haven't reached 40 yet. My eldest daughter is 18.
Wow.
You know, who's probably shelved a lot of stuff that he probably wanted to do to kind of support maybe my husband's visions or other people's visions, I think that I've never fit in. And actually, that's where I'm meant to be. The minute I try to fit in, everything falls down.
How did you actually envision your future as a child?
So I wanted to be, and I used to repeat it, I used to watch Holby City and Casualty, a cardiothoracic surgeon.
So
Heart and chest.
yeah, okay.
Heart and chest surgeon. Yeah.
Heart and chest surgeon. Why?
Yeah, I
why
wanted
that?
to be. I'll tell you what my whole vision for my life was. Right.
Yeah.
It was highly successful, wealthy woman with a Mercedes SLK. So it's a 2-seater Mercedes convertible. God knows why. My hair convertible's never going to work. And the second seat was for my bag. It wasn't for anybody.
Oh my gosh.
So nobody was going to be in the back of the car with me, right? It was going to be me,
bag.
my bag. I like nice bags. People probably know that. And I was going to be living the dream, making money, helping people, saving lives. That was the vision. So I'd be this doctor with a fly car and a nice bag. The car only had 2 seats, no kids, no family, nothing, me. That's what the plan was. How different is that?
Very, very different. Although you do have nice bags.
Do you have nice bags?
Nice
have
bags.
a nice car.
And
A nice house.
I must ask, how big is the bag supposed to be to take up the whole
It
seat?
have to be any size bag. It could have been a clutch purse. It could have been my purse. It was just that.
Yeah.
No one else.
I love that though. You bought the 2-seater for the bag. You in the bag. It's like them people that leave their money to their pets. But anyway, all jokes aside, why was there nobody else in the seat next to you and just the purse?
Oh gosh, that's a juicy question, isn't it? I genuinely just wanted to go and get on with everything. I didn't see people, friends, relationship. It wasn't a priority. I just knew that Sabrina wanted to go and travel and go and work and go and do all these things, amazing things. And I didn't see anyone else in the picture doing that. I just saw that was me, like,
because the independence, like it's very much a thread of everything that you've said. Like, where was that driven? Where was that coming from? This, I need to be an independent woman.
I think I wanted to be somewhat noticed. I wanted to achieve success and be celebrated in my own right, outside of anyone else. And that came from a very young age. I think, not that there was competition between my sisters and my sister and brother or my family. There was no competition, but I feel like I didn't always stand out. So even though I went to do great at school, did okay A-levels, I wasn't like a standout kind of thing. So I think I wanted that. I think I craved a bit of attention. Middle child syndrome.
Heard about this. Yeah.
It probably is a thread because really, I can remember my sister being the first one and she was like, oh my goodness, the first daughter. And everybody, even now, everyone's like, oh my God, when she enters the room, it's like, amazing. She's amazing. And she's walked into the room. She's amazing. I love my sister. And then my brother being the only boy. Yeah. So there was me in the middle. And I guess I just wanted to be like, I'm here, kind of thing. And I just didn't see a need for anybody else to be there with me because maybe I didn't want them to steal the limelight. Maybe I wanted them to just, I want to be that person. But
so you had a big vision for yourself, and it's very different. That picture is very different from the one that you're actually living in now. Not to say you're not living in a big vision, but it's different. There's family, there's etc. So I'm bringing it back forward now because you've met Nathan at 18, 19?
18.
18. And life changes. What were one of the first, I suppose, revelations you had about yourself at that time?
That I have no idea what the world is even about.
Explain that, because you were going on holidays, you were living in an affluent area.
I had life from one perspective.
Okay.
One perspective of, and nothing bad. And actually, it's funny because 18 is when a lot of things changed. So my mum and dad got divorced when I was 18. I was going to uni at 18. My sister's left and gone to live, I don't know where she was at this point, London or Manchester somewhere. And it's me and my brother. It's always been me and my brother, really. We were always like 2 peas in a pod. But a lot of change happened at that point. I met Nathan at the same point. And I started to see the world completely differently.
Right.
So you know, our family group, so my brother, myself, and my sister, our little WhatsApp group's called the Cosby Show Kids, because her friends always looked at our family as like the Cosby Show, this perfect black family who've made it in some coalfield kind of thing. But actually, it wasn't. There's a lot of change happening. There's a lot of breakdown happening. There was a lot of my perspectives on life were formed in one sense, but actually I didn't have very broad perspective on what could happen. I didn't know about other people living in lesser situations and circumstances than me, because even if I wasn't in Sutton Coldfield, all of my family, my mom's family and my dad's family, were successful people. So even if they were buying houses, like they're accountants and they do amazing things, you know, lawyers and all sorts of, you know, successful people, successful career people. So to meet Nathan and to see his friends, and they're on their own kind of journey of like discovering what life is all about, where for me, I don't have to discover what life was all about. I was told, like, this is what we do. This is where you go. This is how you live. I can honestly say the reason why a lot of people don't know about my upbringing is because to fit in society, from what my perspective has been, is that you have to come from struggle to be successful. Because that's what everybody talks about.
That story, the rags to riches story, is the more sexy story, isn't it? It's the one that we hear more often. And I can definitely speak from myself. I can't tell that story. That's not my story. However, because of that, sometimes I felt like I've not been able to have a voice in spaces. Like, you shut up. You can't. You know, it's hard because you also, for me, and again, this is where it's really like, I felt like I've had to kind of straddle or kind of really kind of walk a tightrope and balance really well because of the type of work we do in the charity. So it's almost like, well, you don't come from no struggle. You didn't grow up in the ends. You don't know about this, that and the other. What can you tell me? And that's been presented to me as a real challenge. Like, well, how can you be talking to me as a parent, you know, especially for our project that we just sort of semi-closed down. You know, how can you talk to me about youth offending and this and that, and you don't even know what it is to struggle? Like, but doesn't that kind of like bat away your ability as a human to empathize, to feel, and to see social injustice and whatever else, and want to do something about that?
And that's exactly how it's othering. Because okay, so you're black. I mean, there's so many scenarios. You know, you can walk into a space and it's like, well, some people, especially I guess in our culture and community, and sometimes when I've been into rooms, it's like, well, I have not felt black enough, because it's like your hair was at the time blonde, you're not wearing a African outfit, or you haven't got an anchor around your neck, you know, or you're not woke enough. I've had those kind of conversations, like, okay, this is awkward. Where do I fit here? I don't fit in.
In contrast to that, your husband, we're kind of somewhere else in the interview, but I think we're naturally there. He has come from that kind of that background. I'm not going to talk too much about him, but the worlds that came together were totally different. Totally different. So how have you managed to find that balance in your relationship? Because did the same issues arise, or
no? Do you know what? I cannot see. Somebody said to me, how was it? I was going to put it out there. Roadman, so
define roadman.
Roadman, to those who don't know, somebody who is living a particular lifestyle that is not positive. So it could be involved in activities that we don't want to disclose at this moment, but doing things that were not good. And, you know, some people today look at that and be like gang affiliation, or look at that and think violence, and having lots of money, girls, you know, partying and not having a legal job, lots of different things. And I'm being respectful, because I know for him, that's been a journey to try and move away, you know, and even though he's fully removed, people like to drag you back sometimes. So I'm very confident, I'm very cautious about that. But our worlds were completely, what brought us together was our culture.
Okay, so before you get into that, because I was saying this in a different interview, in Birmingham at least, if you were black, regardless of where you're from, and you like a certain type of music, you could only go to the same places. So people would come from different walks of life to hear the music.
Yeah. Enter Sabrina Dennis. Well, Sabrina Bedford, because I entered Broad Street. Hell no. Before I entered Broad Street, we met in a so my best friend is his cousin, right? I didn't know that at the time. I met my best friend at college.
Yeah.
And we just hit it off. She was like, oh, I remember one of the days, bear in mind, even at 17, 18, I'm still doing the same Saturday workout in my house with the whole cleaning and putting on the soup, right? I've been doing this for like 17 years. Like, this is all you do on a Saturday. So this one time she came and she's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm folding the clothes because that's what I do on Saturday. Like, I don't go anywhere. I'm not allowed to go outside. Like, my parents don't let me go anywhere. This is up and down Warmley Road. That's where you go on your bike. Anyway. So she's like, oh, I'm going to be, my friend has put on an under 18s party in like a church hall kind of thing.
A church hall?
Church hall, under 18s party. I mean, really? Anyway, there's going to be MCs and stuff, but he needs somebody on the door to check the girls. Oh, do you want to come with me? It's like, okay, I've literally got nothing else to do other than fold the washing and put on the soup. Let's go. Said to my mum, can I go? And even at 17, 18, I was asking my mum and my dad. Well, my dad was probably at work somewhere, but my mum, can I go? She, yeah, go with Jamie. Jamie was driving, so let's go. And I'm there, and I just remember enter Nathan Dennis. So he's come in,
and he's a big personality.
He's a big personality, but he's actually quite shy.
I realised that when I was doing the documentary with him, but I don't know if that's known to everybody.
No, it's probably not. Everybody thinks like he's this loud character. Nathan knows how to work a room for something, you know, but in just general, sat next to me, he's really quiet. He's quite shy. And I remember he came and he had like a baseball hat, denim jacket, jeans, trainers, whatever. And I remember he talked to Jamie. So I was like, and she kept looking at me and they're chatting and looking at me and chatting. I'm like, okay, what's all that about? Came over and she was like, oh, this is my cousin. And he's really nice. Like, easy now. And so we ended up chatting and he's like, oh, you want to come and sit in my car? So that was his thing of thinking that I'm going to be now interested because he's got a car. So I'm like, all right, I'll come sit in your car. And he had a Golf and he's in the car and I could tell he was feeling himself, but I was just like, okay, he's in a Golf.
Because you've come from yes. Okay.
A Golf is like a standard car where I live. Like people drive Jeeps and things and there's footballers down the road. So this is all good. I'm not fazed by your car. Like, it's not really a big deal. Lovely though. Great. Happy that you've got a car and all that. And that's how I was chatting. And I remember that was it. We didn't exchange numbers or nothing. And weeks and months have gone by. And it was my friend's birthday. I think she was turning 19. And she's like, oh, we're going to all go out to Broad Street. And I was like, oh, cool. And I don't think I'd actually been to Broad Street more than once or twice in my life before that. And he came with his brother and I think some friends to the same club, FKD on Broad Street. And he's come in there. I'm upstairs, we're dancing. This is FKD, so as a downstairs and upstairs. We've all gone upstairs, we're dancing. And he's come in there. And this song's playing by Aaliyah, Rock the Boat. And he's like, he grabbed my hand. And I can't remember. He said something really stupid, but it was very funny.
I remember. But
do you remember what he said?
Was something,
it's something like,
dump the zero.
Get yourself a hero.
That was it.
Dump the zero, get yourself a hero. And so we danced to this Aaliyah track and that's when we exchanged numbers. But here's the thing, he didn't phone me for 3 months?
Did you think about him during that time?
Yeah, I was like, how can you give someone your number?
And you don't phone?
What a rudeness. You don't phone.
Did you like him?
Yeah.
You did?
I did like him. I was intrigued by him because I'm like, this guy, who is this guy?
Was it the approach?
It was the approach because, and he knows how to do it now. Like, so if you make me laugh, okay, I will listen to you. The girls would have said, she's so hard to get, like, you can't chat to Sabrina. Chatting to nobody. Like, I'm not. I was always there to have a good time. I was always there to enjoy. I wasn't ever I wasn't going out to look for a man or anything. I was there with my friend to celebrate her birthday. Even when I went to the under 18s thing, I wasn't looking for. I was there to help. I don't know, kill time because I was doing nothing.
Folding the clothes.
Folding the clothes and putting on soup. And then I met him, and it was like, okay, we go all these places, and it's lots of fun. And I meet all these people, and I didn't know that there was like so many places and spaces and all these people that had different lifestyles. So I'm not understanding the circumstances, the complexities, the mindset of living in a different environment. Environment is very important.
So when you started to see, because obviously you're dating now, and he's showing you the
showing me all sorts,
and at that time your eyes are opening to different ways of life.
Yeah.
Were you drawn to it? Like what were your thoughts about?
I was drawn to him.
Okay.
I wasn't drawn to the lifestyle.
Yeah, I think sometimes we're guilty as humans of not going beyond what's presented to us. And one of the things when I was preparing for this interview was there was this saying that kept going through my head: behind every great man is a strong woman or a greater woman. There were a few other ones like behind every great man is a woman rolling her eyes. like all sorts of stuff.
I wished.
But thinking about the first statement, the first version of it, does that statement have any sentiment, have any resonance with you?
Ooh, I don't know. That's hard because if I look at my parents, and I would say my mum's a strong woman, my dad's a strong man. Whether there was my dad being strong because of my mum or vice versa, I don't know. If I look at myself and Nathan, I'd say we're strong together and we do things together. So I think actually behind every great man, standing next to a great man is his great wife.
That was another version. I wanted to see if you'd get there.
Yeah, I'm standing next to him side by side. We do this together. Yeah. The minute I try to strive ahead, or he tries to go, it's like, wow, I've got to run back and fill her in and let's just go together.
Even in the Nathan's business journey, you've been there, but not at the forefront. And so I suppose when people see you, they see him first and then Sabrina's. How does that make you feel?
That's been a hard one. To be able to be where I am now, this has been a lot of work. This has been a lot of self-work, a lot of personal therapy, a lot of coaching, a lot of all those good things. Let's be honest, when First Class was first established, I wasn't a part of First Class. So First Class Foundation as it is now? So First Class Foundation is as it is today, and that is our registered charity. But if we go back 17 years, 2005, we have First Class Youth Network. Right. This was a youth organisation led by 5 young people. And Nathan, his brother, and a great set of friends that wanted to enable and empower young people to be the loudest voice in the community. They wanted to connect young people to opportunities because they always saw that all these other kids seem to find out about opportunities, but our kids don't find them. So they set this organisation up. And I have to be honest, like I wasn't involved. 2005, we got married in 2006. And I'd had my daughter, our first daughter, in 2004. Right. So I was being a mum, really. I was in uni and I dropped out, so there's one for the book. So I haven't got a degree. Wow. I have my A-levels. I went to uni. I fell pregnant with my daughter. I dropped out. Okay. Tell me about that moment when you found out you were pregnant. April Fool's Day. 1st of April? 1st of April. So just for the record, it is the 1st of April today and we're filming. 1st of April, how many years ago? 1st of April, she's 18, so 18 years ago. 18 years ago to this day, you found out you were pregnant. It wasn't an April Fool's. Well, he thought it was. I literally was mortified. Wow. Because I was like, oh my God, this happens. This can actually happen. And also we were in we were dating and stuff, but we weren't there to be having kids. Like, what on earth? And I wasn't there. I wasn't really there. But I knew that. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was speaking to my friend Jamie. I was like, I don't know. I think I'm going to go and take a test. And I went to the BPAS in town. I don't know if it's still where it was back then, but in Birmingham. I went there. I always remember feeling really sick because I was like, I haven't had a period. What's going on? I'm feeling sick, like in myself, not physically sick, but I was just feeling nervous sick. And I went there and I did the test and it came back. And she's like, you're pregnant. And I was like, oh.
And you're 20 years old at this time?
And I was 20 years old at the time. And I was like, placement year? I'm going to be doing uni? What am I doing? And I remember thinking, I have to tell Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember phoning him and he was like, nah, April Fools. I'm like, this is not April Fool's joke. I'm serious. And I remember I was with Jamie. She's like, let's drive over to his house. So I drove over there. Where did I get all this time from? But I drove over there and I gave him the note. I just gave him the note and I walked off. Like, I was like, here, and I walked off. I was like, didn't know what to do with myself. Probably terrified, really.
Yeah.
But I gave it to him. I walked off. He's like, why are you walking away? And he's like, is this real? What? And then he said, what are you going to do?
Wow.
And I was like, what am I going to do? What do you mean? Me or we? What am I going to do? Okay, so that's how this is. And then it was just like a upside down, round and round kind of.
I mean, obviously you're, beautifully married couple now, but at that time, did it feel like all the responsibility was on you?
Yeah. It felt like, okay, now I'm seeing life in it again. I'm getting another perspective. Like, okay, maybe this isn't serious.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we had times where I have to go back to come forward. So that's when I'm 20. At 18, we meet. 17, 18, we meet before I go to uni. I go off to uni and he can't cope with the fact that I'm not there. He thinks, based on his perspective of life, I'm not going to be faithful.
Wow.
So, because how can you be in another city, an hour and a half up the road?
Because uni's in Manchester.
Uni's in Manchester. I've left him in Birmingham. And we broke up for a bit.
Yeah.
End of the uni term, I come back home. I'm back in Birmingham, back on the scene. Mm-hmm. I'm in the places where he might be. It was just like a thing, like frustration. And then it got to the point where he's like, okay, we need to talk. Let's talk it out. Went for food. And my friend was like, yeah, you're going to talk. What is this going to be, Sabrina? What is it? And I said, I don't know. We're just going to see what happens. And the rest is kind of history. From that talk, I knew. My heart was hurt. The very fact that, because I said to him, you put me in the same class as every other girl that you've ever come into contact with.
Yeah.
You thought that because I've gone somewhere that I can't stay true to you. But I don't know any different. I know that if you are for me, then you're for me, and that's it. I'm not thinking about anybody else. And I have that level of self-control. But do you?
We're talking about a younger love here.
Yeah, we didn't know what we were doing. Let's be honest.
But but still, it was love. It was there, and that hurt must have been real at that point when you love this guy. You've spent so much time with this person, and you've gone away and come back, and you've not got the very same thing he thinks you're going to do. He's done. Yeah. And then you fall pregnant. Yeah. What a cocktail of emotions.
Yeah. What a cocktail indeed. What a roller coaster. And I said to him, I remember saying, well, you don't need to do this. I'll do it by myself. Because I know how to do things. I'm not stupid. Like, I could pretty much. I'm self-sufficient. I could raise a child. I could get a job. And I could get my car. And, okay, 3 seats now. You'd have to have a chair. And I could do this. And I was adamant about that. And that meant that, okay, but I'm having this baby. You choose. Because what I realized now, not at the time, is that his frame of reference for life was different to mine.
So that's where I saw
it. I was like, okay, this is why you say these things, because you've seen that.
Did that allow you to give him grace?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that Nathan's had seen things and experienced things that nobody should sometimes. We're both on a journey. I'm on my own. I'm trying, what am I doing now? Because I was doing this, now I'm doing that now. Like, my family would attribute it to mum and dad got divorced, she was looking for love, then she fell pregnant.
I was going to ask you, what did your parents say at that time?
My mum was like upset, but then extremely pleased, because it was weird. Like, Tamina coming at that time was at probably the most catastrophic moment. Everything's dropping down. And my mum and dad have been married for years, and it's dropping down. My relationship with my dad has dropped down. Like
Wow.
everything that I knew of my dad at the time growing up was different. He was horrible to me, vile to me. He went through a phase, I can laugh now, that of when they were moving out of the house, that house that I grew up in Sutton, he went through this thing of picking up all the things that he was going to take with him. And he took everybody else's pictures but mine. And I remember thinking, oh, so I'm not your child then. But he took, imagine, I've grown up with my dad.
Have you had conversations with him about that?
It is broken.
Because
Fully.
the picture you painted to start with was picturesque.
Yeah.
So to go from that to this shattered image, Cosby Show Kids, to this shattered image now of you and your dad and the relationship there, plus the other man in your life.
Yeah.
What's happening for you then?
What isn't happening?
And like why is it breaking down? Why is that relationship breaking down with your dad?
I think my dad think I took sides with my mum.
Right.
And if I'm honest, there's so much unspoken stuff. I don't actually know. Like me and my mum used to speak about this all the time. We don't actually know the reason why my mum and dad divorced. We don't actually know what happened.
Yeah.
I went off to uni. It was weird, bad, but it wasn't like we were thinking it was like that. But then my mum was telling me stories of things, him becoming quite angry towards her. I don't know what happened. My brother, I was 18, he was 13. Yeah, he was 13 at the time. He saw a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So he has a completely like different perspective to me. I only came back and saw the devastation of my mum now having to say, we've got to sell the house. My dad wants just to split up the assets and all that stuff. And I'm entering into this scenario pregnant. So there's just, my dad's like, I stopped talking to my dad because of the things I'd heard and seen him do with my mum. I was like, I can't, you just vile. And his family seemed to have picked sides. So the cousins, the aunties, the this and that seemed to have picked my dad. And so all of a sudden, I'm the bad guy. It seemed like Sabrina and Leon are the bad people because they're sticking with their mom, but they should be there for their dad. But my dad's there sweeping out the house and taking everyone else's pictures but leaving mine. How am I supposed to feel about that?
Yeah. Did you feel rejected?
Rejected, angry. I don't know if it was rejected. I just felt angry. Very, very angry. And that was, growing up with my dad, I was like his mini-me. And then something broke and I can't really put my finger on what it was that broke, but it's never been repaired. And even we have tried and there's just this air, it's a bad air. And so where we are today is that I really don't have a relationship with my dad. I've tried, we've tried. He's made choices in recent times that I absolutely cannot stand by. And so I've just, that's it.
Do you miss him?
Oh, if we're going to grab tissues, now would be a time. Incredibly. I miss the I guess it was all sort of, it's almost like that fantasy that you had when you were a little girl. I was looking through photos the other day because we're clearing out our garage. And I was a big Care Bear fan, so I've got a big Care Bear. And it's me and my dad, I'm sat on his shoulders, or he's feeding me as a baby. And there's loads of pictures. And I just reflected and I was like, that is so not. It's so far away from what I know, what I knew, and I guess it's like seasons. I feel like sometimes we try to hold on to things, we try to hold on to relationships, and sometimes they're just not good for us. There's that unnerving sense of anxiety that I used to feel when he was around. I'm not sure what stunt you're going to pull, or what you're going to say, who you're going to upset. There's a lot of things. A lot of things that he's hurt, that he knows, some things that he never will understand. And probably today, he probably doesn't understand why I am like, I don't want to be, because he's chosen his path and I've chosen mine.
Did that give you a frame of reference of what you didn't want to see in your own relationship though?
It told me I didn't want to get married.
Wow.
I saw devastation and I thought, you know what, marriage is probably not really for me then, because also, growing up with most people, most of my family married, but a lot of their relationships were not healthy. Maybe things were happening that weren't great. And so I thought, well, maybe it's not what it is.
It's interesting because you had defined success by what you'd seen of their accomplishments, but relationship wasn't in it. And then here you are moving away from the accomplishments towards relationships. So you're going against your own frame of reference. Yeah. And so I'll bring you back to the story now in terms of where you were going through this pregnancy. See you in November. I can hear a Wyclef song.
I am literally.
But you are pregnant. Relationship is not where I suppose anyone would hope it would be at that point in time.
Having to find somewhere to live because I can't. Mum's going to be moving out of the house. I got ill. Yeah, I felt really ill. So during my pregnancy, towards the end with Tamina, I developed an infection in my kidneys. So I was getting these stabbing pains. The midwife came around and she did all the dipstick sample tests. She needs to go to the hospital. Everything is wrong. You need to go to hospital. So I said, okay, I've got to go. There's so much pain. Good Hope Hospital, and told Nathan, bear in mind, like, I'm like, do what you want, innit? I'm not expecting you to. You've made me feel like this is all me, my fault. You do what you want. I will just manage. My mum is here with me, and my mum's going to help me, and I'll be okay. And I remember getting to the hospital, and they admitted me, put me on a drip immediately. So I had wires, like, they got the monitor around you, and then I got the drip in my hand and this trolley thing with the drip hanging.
Gosh.
And I'm sat on this this ward, and I remember being in there. And Nathan came, and when he saw me, his complete demeanor changed, because I think he thought I was just attention seeking, maybe, or it's not really that bad, or I don't think he took me serious. I don't think he took it seriously. And then he saw me on a drip, wired up, and I had a really hard time. Back then, I realised, so there's 1 in 5 now of Black women that die during childbirth. I realised that back then, my first experience of racism happened in that hospital. When I was asking for help, I'm in pain, and they're telling me, no, you're not in pain. You can manage this pain.
Because they have this thing that we can...
facade that I'm a 20-year-old teenager, because I'm a teenager, I'm a kid. And I'm walking. I remember my sister was leaving the hospital. She'd come to visit me. She was leaving the hospital, and I was walking really slowly with the thing that holds the drip. And I was saying, I need help. And I remember not having the energy or the strength and resolve to shout. But I remember saying, I need help. And there was this woman that walked past me, a healthcare assistant. She just walked past me, and then I collapsed. And they got all come rushing in.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I remember at that time, my mum was like, we need to complain. I remember thinking, I said I'm in pain, and she told me, you're not in pain. So it's all you. I'm like, what are you doing? I am in pain, get help. No, I'm not going to get help.
No,
I'm not going to get help. I remember it going through a whole... My mum did this because I don't even know, but you have PALS and you have all these different organisations within hospitals. And that was then, 18 years ago. I look back on that now and I know what it was. But at the time I didn't know any. I was just maybe I'm not in pain. Maybe it's my head. Maybe it's not that, but I can't stand up. It hurts. And I remember they picked me up. They put me on the bed. I remember having a temporary... It was a horrendous time. Obviously, needless to say, I came through it. But not too long after that, I remember going to Nathan's house after being discharged, and he brought in his wardrobe was loads of pretty little dresses.
Just got to get on with pregnancy.
And from that moment on, things were just very different. He was like that annoying guy in the club, but only caring now. He's like, you can't go anywhere. Do you need anything? What can I get you? Until the day that she was born, on the 11th of the 11th, 2004. That's her birthday. And he was right there.
How did you forgive him?
I knew that, I guess. And I'm talking now in now, but at the time I don't know if I did. I don't think I had time at the time, because you just
getting on with
it. And I guess my disposition for everything that I've had to go through in different stages of our lives together has been you getting on with it. And then once she was born, forgiveness came later. So we started to go to church. And that was only because we wanted to dedicate her. So we started going to church. I'd been to New J, our current church now, with Joyce, Nathan's mom, while I was pregnant. And a minister there, she's now since passed away, had blessed me. She prayed for me. She blessed the baby. She said, the baby got a name. Remember, she's inside. She went, no. She said, I'm going to call her Abigail. It's like, that's not going to be her name. But she prayed for us. And so I remember saying, oh, I can go with Joyce to church then, because your mum's part of the church, I'll go. And she would always invite me, strong woman of faith. We decided that, right, we're going to pick the day as the 1st of May to get her dedicated to. 1st of May 2005. I was like, all right, that'll be the date. So we started going to church. Like the new year, started going to church every week, all the way up to May. The week before. So I'm going, I'm like, she's not too bad. I don't mind going. It's long and I don't understand the tongues thing and this culture because, again, my culture of growing up did include church, but not Pentecostal church.
Right, yeah.
It was Church of England or United Reformed. They read the prayers, they read the sermon.
And you said amen.
You sang 2 songs, you said amen, you went home. So this is like...
different.
Noisy. These people are doing madness. Yeah. But we went. We carried on going. And the week before her christening, everything changed.
What happened?
So the week before her dedication, we were at church and it was like, I'd gotten used to this now. I'd gotten used to the Holy Spirit. I'd gotten used to people speaking in tongues and loud music and worship and not having a word. I'd gotten used to it because I'd been a few times to understand. I didn't understand everything. And I liked it. I liked the feeling. And people seemed nice in the church. People seemed balanced. The week before the dedication, this lady stood up. She lives in America now. She stood up. Spirit had fallen. There was worship. And she stood up and she said, Jesus is coming back. You've got to get baptized. Get baptized. Repent and be baptized. I was just like shaking like a leaf. I remember just bursting into tears in the seat.
Wow.
And I didn't understand what was happening, but I just knew I had to. Something said, Sabrina, just go to the altar and ask them to pray for you.
Yeah.
Because just go to the altar. So I'm like, okay, I'll just go to the altar. And I'm like, imagine, I'm like a reserved person. I'll sit there and just a visitor, sit there. But this time I got up, I actually went. It was almost like I had no choice. I could literally almost being pushed, you need to go. So I went and I am bawling. I am sobbing my eyes out. I feel like I was sobbing for everything that had happened. I was sobbing I could not stop crying. I was just completely broken at the altar. And I use these words now like altar and spirit and all of this, but I didn't know that then. I was just at the front of the church with the minister and these people praying for me and I was broken. That's how it was. What I understand now is a different thing happened. And then another minister who we have a great relationship now, but she held my hand and she said, how old are you? And I said, I'm 21. I'm 21 now. And she said, I've got a daughter your age and you're having a baby. I said, yeah. So then this is I did feel like, oh, maybe this isn't it. But then she hugged me. And then I was crying some more. And then she was praying for me. Before I knew it, I was out on the floor. Like God had just come and just slain me completely. I was gone. I didn't understand this. I was like, what is happening? What I didn't realize until I stood up and she said to me, how do you feel? She said, do you love Jesus? And I said, yes. And I'm like, do I even know what I'm saying right now? But I'm saying, yeah, this is like, something's changing. Something's happening. She wanted to be baptized. Yes, I want to be baptized. And I said, I want to be baptized next week. When I got up, so she's like clapping. I'm still crying. Everyone's crying. And the altar was quite busy. So something significant had happened when that woman, her name is Wendy, got up and spoke that prophetic word and said, be baptized, everybody, be baptized. Jesus is coming soon. But I looked to my right and Nathan's at the altar. Same thing.
Wow.
He's going through his own thing, broken, crying. So it's like, we don't live together. We've got a baby. I'm living in this little flat, as I said, we're living in this flat. He's still at home with his mum. We're trying to raise a child and we're doing kind of okay. It's not like anything. It's like we're just doing what we're doing. we are together, but we're not married in the church and that stuff. We're just two people from the road. So the church is super happy because a roadman has come in and said he wants to give up that life and live for Christ. So that's a whole thing. And his girlfriend said the same thing. So part of the thing I know happened is that people probably thought I was there because he was. And that wasn't true. I was having my own experience. Like this thing, I don't think I've cried tears like that in years. And I remember literally having flashbacks of the disappointment with my dad, the disappointment with uni, the disappointment in myself at times for like, how are you here? This is not what you had planned. This is not the car and the this and the that. This is where you are now.
Because up until that point, the way you've spoken is it was just get on with it. Just get on with it. But at that altar, it was like...
everything came full forward. Everything came to the forefront. All of the things that I'd experienced, because I was just getting on with it, was now presented right there in front of me. So now I know I've got issues that I need to deal with, got unforgiveness, stuff going on with my dad, stuff going on with my mum, because really, what is going on with you and my dad? You know, like, you're not really telling me, you're having your own stuff. Stuff with my brother and I'm feeling it for him. Stuff with myself. I've got this little girl. Like, stuff with Nathan. Like, did you really mean that about what are you going to do? Like, it's my choice, my decision. And have you tried to... like, all of this stuff now and all of this thing is there. All of this stuff is there. And there's so much more that comes, you know, like, after that, it's like, okay, so what does your life mean now? What does it look like now? I didn't understand what being saved meant. I just said yes. I don't know, but this has got to be better than all of these things that have happened to this point. I'm choosing this now. And then what was the next thing that was said? She's now got postnatal depression.
Who said that?
Family. So she's gone to church.
Right. So at the time...
and now she's depressed.
Oh my gosh. So you've got two narratives going on. There's your own, which you haven't vocalized. And then there's the one that's being put on you at different stages.
So the constant in this period is my best friend, Jamie.
Okay.
So she's had her own thing. And she said to me, I'll never forget it, on the day of the christening, she then said to me, you know what? We sat in the car and she said, I'm going to pray for you. This is before I got out of the car to go and get baptized and do the whole christening and everything. I'm going to pray for you. And I was like, okay. And I was like, and so this is a new friendship now, because we've been friends for how many years, but you've never done this. So, okay. This is something different. This is new. Like, I'm going to pray for you now. And so she prayed for me. And she said, Sabrina, I'm going to tell you something. She said, you're going to have to walk this path by yourself. This is you and God. This isn't you and everybody else. A lot of people are going to say a lot of things, but you're going to have to do this. And it's going to bring its own challenges, but you can do it because you've always done it. And I swear, like, again, I get choked up because that was probably the best piece of advice my equivalent best friend, who's like a year older than me, could tell me. Like, that's big woman talk, because she's telling me you're going to have to do this. And we're both sitting in my little fiesta outside the church. She's praying for me. And so I just discounted it, because what I got to realise is that no one's ever understood me, but I've always done what I was going to do. And you'll have to figure it out for yourself then, because you think that I'm depressed or I'm craving love, or you've got to try and have a solution or an answer for why I'm doing what I'm doing. What you just need to know is I'm doing what I need to do. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. Worry about yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll be okay.
We got to a point where you were saying, you know, Nathan and his brother and his group of friends had set up this charity, and they were getting on with it, but you were getting on with it. Yeah. You were getting on with motherhood. You were getting on with all of that. So it was first class. And he was everywhere. He's everywhere. Yeah. And you kind of were there too, but as we were saying, visible, but not seen.
Was I even visible? I don't even know if that's true. I think I wasn't visible. His face, because, okay, so what you need to understand about the timeline is 2004, Tamina's born. 2005, we get baptized. 2005, he starts First Class Youth Network. 2006, we get married. So in this period of born again Christian, christen the baby, move in house, I think I love this woman, all of this stuff, gonna get married, proposal happens in August. Like, there's loads of things that go on, right? He set up this thing and it's flying, but he's also like the face for the church of bad boy turns good.
So he's the poster.
So he's the poster boy.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not visible. because here is Nathan Dennis, the guy that's left the road, transformed his life, and set up a youth organisation that's successful, all at seemingly the same time. Obviously, there was lots of things happening, all at seemingly the same time. So really and truly, why would I be a part of that picture?
But then,
because we're not the poster couple because I'm not married. I've got a baby at home and I'm doing that. This success of this youth organisation is down to the success of Nathan, but of all of the team, all of them. They were all doing their bit. They were putting on events, getting kids from here, there and everywhere, winning contracts, just growth.
Were you okay with not being, did you feel invisible?
I felt there were times, and I think this is sort of, we've got to our second daughter by this point, when I felt like I was a single mom. Because I could work, but I didn't have to work because Nathan taking care of everything. But I was at home with our 2 daughters by then.
How old are you now?
I'm 23.
23. Okay.
I'm 23 at this point. And I desperately felt like I was a bit inadequate because I'm now just a mom. And I'm ambitious and I can do things. And so I felt really kind of inadequate. I felt like I wasn't doing anything with my brain. I was just like, just there. And
so far away from the person that you were as
because
younger?
Now I'm a mom. I'm body image, I'm twice the size. My second daughter was big. She's like £9.5. Wow. Big baby, right?
Wow.
So I was twice the size. I just know that for me, I was just like, I'm just a mom. And I was really, my self-confidence fell through the floor. I was just, I guess I started to realise that there's more to Sabrina than just being a mom. And I use that term lightly because being a mom is the most important job. But I wanted more than that. And I realised that I couldn't just be a mom. I needed to get out there. I needed to start like doing things. And I also, I kind of probably had insecurities that I looked the way I felt frumpy and just like, this is not how I want to look. This is not how I want to be. And here's Nathan having this glamorous life. Like,
did you ever feel resentful towards him?
Resentful towards him? Probably, yeah. Probably, if I'm honest. Not necessarily to him, but maybe towards the actual organisation. Like, this thing has grown and I don't know anything much about what's going on apart from when I maybe go to the events. And I just kind of pop up, and then I'm popping up and I'm almost feeling like I shouldn't be there, or I don't fit in because I'm not part of this thing. Nobody was like that towards me, but I felt quite like, I don't fit in again.
Yeah.
I don't belong here. This is not my thing. So, and if it was like to fast forward to today and even getting to First Class Foundation, when Nathan asked me to be involved in that, I didn't want to be.
So let's quickly come to that then, because First Class Foundation is the charity that you are now CEO of, award-winning charity, which was previously First Class.
It was First Class Youth Network, then First Class Legacy. So we have First Class Youth Network, First Class Direct, which was the business to the charities, the CEO, CISC stuff. Then that all closed down. Then today, where we set up First Class Legacy, but then that wasn't quite right.
Yeah.
Because we had business and sort of social stuff, social enterprise stuff. So we split the two.
Yeah.
We now have Legacy Consultants, which I am owner and director of.
Okay.
And First Class Foundation, which I'm the CEO of.
Wow. So this has like been full circle because the business that you didn't want and you didn't want to study, blah, blah, all that stuff, you are now heading up to actually very, very renowned companies that are doing some amazing things. And I will talk about that in a second, but you've come to that point where Nathan, or has whatever was behind him has collapsed.
Yeah.
All of that's kind of fell down. You're at home. You've now got 4 daughters.
When that happened, we had another thing. So when his first company, First Class Youth and First Class Youth Direct, had to close it to make people redundant.
Yeah.
Close the offices on Community Roots Building on Soho Road in Handsworth. Closed that all down. Everything was moved into our garage. We just bought a house. It's 2009/10. We just bought a house in the October of 2009 and everything got moved into our garage. And all of a sudden, all of this business is trying to happen from my house. I didn't mind. Because I was like, if it needs to work. But then I realised it wasn't working. He told me, Sabrina, it's all fallen down. And that's when I had resentment. That's when I had resentment. Because I didn't know what I didn't know. So I didn't know the gravity of the chaos, the debt. And he says, you know, I need to tell you about the gravity of what's going on. And when he breaks down the debt, the overdraft, the credit cards, the corporation tax that we owe, I was like, okay, now I hate business. Now I don't want to do this. What the hell? We've just bought a house. And we ended up having to sign on. It has hit the fan. Like, it's hit the fan. Like, I cannot verbalize that any strongly. Like, this is bad. And I said to him, it was the first time that I didn't trust him. I don't know who you are. Because what were you living then? This life of just all this success. And I honestly, Daina, and I'm like this now, which is probably why we're a bit better with the charity and things like that. But I asked the questions. I said, where was the reconciliation? What kind of accounting were you doing? Like, what happened? How did you not save the corporation tax money? Like, all the questions that you know now, and you've been doing business this long. But I asked those questions and I don't know. We just used to spend the money. We just used to do things. I'm like, yeah, but who was the person that was checking the blind spots? Where was the governance? I guess
there was none of that.
There was none of that. And I was using the words that I'm using now, then. Like, I didn't finish my degree.
So you just already, it was just
had
there.
I knew it. And I said, well, what's going to happen? And his business partner at the time, she made a decision that she was going to pay as much of it as possible. Because, and I think I'm eternally grateful, because I don't actually know what would have done if she wasn't so kind and forthcoming to take responsibility as well. Some people could have just left it and not done anything and said, you lot deal with it. But we had a house, we had 2 kids, I just lost a baby, and he's got to have open heart surgery. And it was during the season of him going down, having that surgery, being unwell for like 3 weeks, not being able to. I'm going to be graphic. When you have open heart surgery, you aren't awake, you're not alive. They stop you. So I didn't know if he was going to even come back. But I just knew, by God's grace, that this is going to be fine and we've got to get on with it. I didn't really have a chance to go through grief for a miscarriage because I didn't have time for that. I just had to keep going. And that's horrible and hard. That's the truth. I kept going, and that came back to hurt me later. But we got through that, and we decided that he decided, after all of that stuff, we're going to do work, we're going to do it together. And I was like, no. You don't know how to do business, so no.
So you took some convincing.
I took a lot of convincing. I took about, if that was happening in 2010 and we started up First Class Legacy in 2016, that's
so
how
you
long
took
that
some
took.
convincing.
In the middle of that, I had another 2 children. So by that time, we've had 4 daughters now.
4 daughters. 4 daughters.
Yeah.
A very charismatic husband.
Loves us.
Loves you.
Loves me very much.
Loves you very much. So much has happened, so much. And then you make the decision, you're going to go for it. You're going to become the CEO of First.
I didn't make that decision. I was told.
You were told.
Be the CEO.
What, at this point, I just want to, I just want to quickly understand how you were identifying yourself at that stage, 2016. You've because you've avoided business all this time.
Yeah, I've tried to run, man.
And you've
catching up with me.
And the only title you could probably say that you wore
with pride was being a mum and a wife.
Mum and wife.
Yeah.
Now here's this other one that's not even you're not being asked about. You've got to have it.
I'm not interested in it. Also, because again, I guess my insecurity was and I said it to his face, like, I don't want to be a prop. I don't want to stand next to Mr. Nathan, Mr. First Class, and I'm just stood there next to you. Like, that's not who I am. Like, you go and do it by yourself. Like, you are the face of this thing. Everyone knows you. What more do you think is going to happen if I stand next to you? Nothing. Everyone's going to be asking Nathan. I'm going to be just Nathan's wife standing next to you now. Like, and I don't want that. And I am your wife and I love you with all my heart, but I'm not standing next to you while you get all the glitz, the glamour and all the accolades. I'm just stood there like, what's my purpose for being in this business? I asked him, what do you want me to do? What do you think I can do? And then I said, okay, if we're doing business and you want me to be involved in this, you're going to do it the way I say. But it didn't feel like a we thing. it felt like I helped him thing.
Yeah.
Because I still saw First Class as Nathan's thing.
So you were still in the background.
Yeah.
Were you putting yourself there at this point?
Absolutely.
So he hadn't put you there because
No.
he's told you come stand next
He's
to
come
me.
and said, he said stand in front of me.
And you have.
And I've said, no, I'm going to stay behind.
Why?
Because I didn't want to be in the forefront. Because in my head, First Class was Nathan's thing.
So it wasn't a way.
I'm not even going to be accepted as anything because I've got no credibility. I'm just known as the wife. And, you know, I walk into rooms and that's Nathan's wife. I don't even know my name. My name's Sabrina. You know, and that's happened like 2 weeks ago. My name is Sabrina. Like, I'm not waiting for, not that Nathan wouldn't introduce me, but I don't wait for him to introduce me now. I'll introduce myself. Like, I'm Sabrina Dennis. But I was comfortable in the background because I could get on with it in quiet. I had this thing, even for the charity, which is why the charity is so prominent in the way it is, that I wanted the work to speak for itself. It couldn't be the Nathan show. It couldn't be the Sabrina show. It needs to be the First Class Foundation show. It couldn't be about me and all the things that I've done and all of that. It needed to be about the lives that we're impacting and the people who are benefiting from what we're doing. I've been very adamant about that, but then that's done me a disservice because I don't know who it is that's been doing the work.
But now you guys are in a space where you're able to, because you have a team.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit quickly about First Class Foundation, because the charity has last year it won a ton of awards.
Yeah.
There's a team behind it. What does it do? So
First Class Foundation is a charity. We're a registered CIO, charity incorporated organisation. And we do three things. So we work to reduce youth violence, improve mental health resilience, and connect young people to their purpose. What does that mean? Well, it means we have a team that are a heartbeat of the organisation that do outreach and engagement. So they engage on 3 levels. They do outreach and promotion. So they'll work with organisations to share information to our young people that then can connect them to the purpose or help them have better and healthier lives. Then we have another team above that, which is sort of our outreach and engagement team. So they'll do work specifically with young people. And you might have seen them, they've got purple jackets.
Yep.
So purple jackets.
Little
Army of purple jackets out there. And they just make sure kids are safe, get to safe spaces. They do mentoring as well. So inside and outside of school. And then we've got our top tier stuff, which is a lot more hard hitting. That's our violence interrupters. They are black jackets guys. Okay. And they work with kids that are heavily entrenched and want to desist from youth violence. So our work is shaped around the needs of the community and the ever-changing landscape when it comes to youth violence. Youth violence hasn't gone anywhere. But when we look at mental health, we know there's a link. And we will look at the lack of opportunities, or not to say the lack, but the lack of access to opportunity. We also know that's a link to youth violence. So we know that if we work to bring kids to positive things, we improve their mental health because they're engaged, they're doing something. And then they're not trying to go down another negative path because they've been shown something that might lead to their purpose. So it's all very purposeful, what we do. And we've been doing that and in the charity since 2018, 2019. Wow.
That is, you know what? That was smooth. Like, that was just like, I've got to work on my pitch, like, how I talk about the business. But that was very good. And you know what? It's amazing work. You know, I've seen the purple jackets. I've been out. Purple jacket. I know who that. It's a very recognizable brand, and organization. With regards to, the question's gone out my head. With regards to you being the CEO of this establishment now, and you talked about, you know, people not knowing the work, who's doing the work. Have we moved away now from the Nathan show, do you think?
No, there's always going to be a Nathan show. Why? Because it's very, very, very important. It's relevant. There are people now that need to hear his story. And not just the story of the road and this and that, but also the testimony of how Jesus changed lives. And also the testimony of business and bouncing back from business from a male perspective, because you know what social media can do. It can paint a picture that isn't true. So the Nathan show is there, but there's also the charity that's got its own show. There's the consultancy that's got its own show. there's the two of us that have got a joint show, and there's me that's trying to develop a show.
Well, actually, that's what I was going to go into, because the work that the charity does is very much around the violence, the things that you didn't see when you were young. How do you then connect to it?
Because I'm human. And that's the first thing. I think people think that you have to have, don't get me wrong, lived experience is very important. Relatable role models are important. I'm a role model. I run a business that saves lives, basically. You might not be the ambulance service or the doctor, the cardiothoracic surgeon, but we save lives in lots of different ways. And I think my life needed saving in so many occasions. My mental health needed building on so many different occasions. I didn't have to grow up in inner city Birmingham to know what it felt like to be rejected, or to know what it felt like to have to go through things. You go through things wherever you are, at any part of your journey. And I think that's the thing that's important. For me, I am different. My experience in life is different. And I don't think that experience is shared. I need people, women and men, boys and girls, young and old, to know that you don't have to have a struggle story to be successful. You don't have to come from this and this and have experienced this level of trauma to run a business or to have any kind of career. You can be me. There are me's out there.
There are yous out there. So you are an author, and you wrote a book in 2018 called A Piece of the Pie. And it says it's aimed at parents much like yourself who have a busy professional life to manage. And it's a bit of a practical toolkit for parents to uphold that work-life balance. Those were the 3 words that stuck out to me, because I don't know what that is. What does balance look like to you? What is balance?
Balance has been different at different stages of my life. But right now, I mean, I could speak from now. Balance is life balance, because my work kind of intertwines quite a lot with my life at the moment. Because I own and kind of run a charity, own a business, and invest in other bits and pieces, and it's hours, I can kind of dictate how things overlap or intertwine with my family, with my home kind of thing. So it would be different if I got up and had to go and work for somebody Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and have quite prescriptive hours. So for me, it's kind of like I straddle the two.
Getting on with it has definitely, as I said, been a theme throughout this conversation. And I wonder sometimes if you've missed moments that you have achieved some stuff. Do you think that's a healthy way to do things all the time? Or
where I am now is slow down and stop, pause and reflect. I'm at a point which is strange, because in my mind, I'm quite young to be thinking stop.
But you've had a lot happen.
There's been I've had a very full experience so far of life. There's been such a lot of things that have happened. And I think the mechanism of getting through those seasons was just getting on with it. It was kind of like survival mode, I suppose, just get through, keep going. But it's not a healthy way to live, because, now it's like, okay, I got to a point, when was this? Earlier this year, when I realised that I'd become so good at getting on with things, I wasn't even feeling the emotion by doing things. And this for me is really dangerous, especially working in the work that I do. So I started to feel a bit desensitized, like things were happening in our community and it was sad, and I knew it was sad, but I wasn't feeling sad. And I'm like, okay, that's not how, for me, I felt really concerned, like, whoa, tragedies are going on. And I guess it's like I'm saying another tragedy, and that's how I was feeling. It's just like another thing.
Is it because there was so much of it, or is something going on with you?
But also I think I was becoming aware that I knew that I wasn't feeling, like, I'm not feeling emotion. I'm becoming more robotic now, especially in work in particular, not relationships so much, but in work I'm becoming very robotic. I'm becoming a bit switched off emotionally. That for me is dangerous, because then it could just be transactional, the work that we're doing. And we've never worked like that as a charity. It's always been from the heart. And we've always thought about what would happen to people if things like this didn't happen, or things like this did happen, or we could help them or whatever. So I started to think, whoa, I don't like that. I don't like how I could feel. And I remember saying to my therapist at the time, I wanted to be able to feel because I feel like I can't feel. She's like, okay, let's dig deeper. And there was a lot of things that happened personally that were affecting me professionally.
Right.
So stuff was happening with my dad and relationships there was going on. There was stuff happening in our families. There was just some stuff. And I think because that stuff was hard to deal with, I entered into the mode of getting on with it. But then it was going across everything. I became switched off to the things that were happening societally, in our community. I was doing the work, but I wasn't feeling it. Because I know that I told myself, you haven't got time to feel because you've got to get on with it. Nah, man, that's dangerous. That's a really dangerous place to be. And I knew that.
Had you ever been taught to process emotion?
Told to stop crying, what you're crying for. As you say, you cry for, you want to give me something to cry for.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. No.
And do you think that's what kind of has played into this a little bit?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I wasn't very good at, and even as on reflection now, and now you're asking me, I'm thinking back when we first got together, when we first got married, Nathan said, you don't ever tell me how you feel. I don't know how you feel. You're not saying anything. I don't even know what to say. Like, how do I say that? I don't know. I don't know how I feel. I'm fine. How are you? I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm getting on with it. Everything's good. But I'm not fine. And I don't know what the words are because I haven't been able to process the emotions. I don't know how this.
Yeah.
So as I'm now, as you said, do you think that was a good way to be? Just to get on with it? No, I don't. Because actually moments in my life, not all moments, like magical moments, like having a baby and getting married and all that stuff. That stuff that you're going to feel that one way or another, it's there. But like going through day-to-day things or things with family or community stuff like we've seen in the charity, I just knew that I couldn't carry on operating like that.
I think this is interesting because sometimes when we talk about mental resilience, there's this idea that it is that kind of, I'm strong, I get on with it, I move on. But mental resilience isn't the absence of processing emotion, is it? It's very different. And you've talked quite a little bit, you've mentioned quite a few times about therapy. Was therapy something you engaged in yourself, or was it something that somebody suggested to you? What made you go for it?
I absolutely knew. October last year, we had a board away weekend for the charity. And I said in that thing as an action and the things that I know, and I was talking about the team and having supervision. I'm doing their supervision and they're having personal therapy for some of the things they've seen and blah, blah, blah. And I reflected, I was like, but you're dealing with all these people's stuff and you don't even talk to nobody. And then there was the stuff just in general, that things that have happened in your life. And I remember saying in that board meeting, I know that I need to talk because I know that I've got a lot of things in there that need to come out that I don't know what to do with. And so I was like, I'm gonna get a therapist. And in the meeting, they were like, I can suggest one. Everybody was like, oh, so you all do this then? Like, no one told me. No one put me. Nathan has studied counselling and psychotherapy to level 4 or 5, something like that. So he's got his qualification. And as part of his course, you have to have your own personal therapy. So he's engaged in this so many times and raves about this thing. And I'm like, okay, that's great. That's good. I'm good. But I've never thought at the time that I would do that. Just seemed like, I'm okay. I'm okay. I don't need to talk to nobody. I don't need a hug. I don't need to talk.
I don't need a hug.
I don't need anything.
Yeah.
Actually, opposite, I needed everything about it. So yeah, therapy's been absolutely game changing. I've had coaching, I've had mentoring, all very different things. The therapy was really going deeper, understanding a bit more about myself. And what was really interesting is that all of the things around sort of turning off and getting on with it started from very, very young. Very, very, very young, which you don't really realise until you start talking about stuff. So yeah.
Sometimes we don't realise that we're building those mechanisms into ourselves and we don't know how, and because we don't realise that we don't know how to get rid of them.
Yeah. We have made ourselves think that it's a sign of weakness to share how we're feeling, to talk about emotions, to talk about how we feel about the things that we're doing, whether it's going well, whether it's not. Therapy doesn't have to come at a point when your life is like on a down, you can also go when it's on an up.
Would you say, can you feel now?
Yeah.
And do you feel
God, I'm crying like this last week. Oh my gosh.
Are those tears that have been waiting to come?
Probably.
Do you think? Yeah.
Who knows? And I don't want to know how long those tears have been in there. Nobody needs to know that. but yeah,
they're coming out.
They're coming out. There's tears, there's laughter, there's joy, there's brutal honesty. I laugh because Nathan's like, huh? You said that. I said it. And it's okay. Like, being in my truth. I think I've walked in my truth, but I've kind of limited how much of it I've allowed.
Right. And your passion switched back on and everything.
Yeah, man.
So what would you say you're passionate about?
Life, really.
Okay.
I'm passionate about my children in another way. Like, oh my gosh, 4 amazing women. That excites me, and I dream for them and vision for them. And we went away over the past couple of weekends ago now, and there was this question that we all had to answer. So it was like a forward thinking goal. So, you know, you're at a certain point in your life, and what are the things that you would have liked to have seen? And I managed to go all the way to be like 80 something, sitting on a veranda, and I was saying that my daughter's doing this and they're doing that, and you know, they're achieving, they've achieved all their goals, and they're married or they have children. I could see it all, and I was like, and I was holding a grandchild on my knee and all these things, and they were like, huh? Mom, I was just writing all 9s at GCSE and stuff like that. So yeah. But I am passionate about them. I'm passionate about seeing them win. I'm passionate about seeing our community just experience great things and, you know that it's achievable, and that, like I've said a few times, you don't have to come from that bad stuff to have great things. That if you work hard and you apply yourself, you can achieve. I think everybody knows that narrative, but I want you to know it actually happens. Like, you can work, and it does work. Like, work hard, guys. It's true. I think I'm passionate about women in leadership, women like me. I just want to see more women. I'm 39 now. Like, come on, 29-year-olds, I need you to surpass me. Not putting pressure on you, but I really want it for you. How can I help you? How can I teach you? How can I show you? How can I empower you? Because the world's waiting for us. We cannot keep watching what other people are doing and feeling inferior or feeling like, oh, I'm just a this. No, bring your whole self into every single room that you go into. Don't do it by halves. Jump both feet into that pool and go deep. I don't want to be in these rooms by myself either. And not to say I've blown my own trumpet and I've arrived, because I haven't. There's higher places and wider spaces to be in. But even in the rooms that I am in, I just want to see more of us there. That's what I'm, oh my God, passionate about. And family, obviously.
And family. Now, all of that passion is culminating into, I want to say, well, I don't know what the word would be. I'm not going to call it ministry, but necessarily you and Nathan are kind of galvanizing your 2 passions, and it's all coming out in these events. It's coming out in a few new things, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Few new things.
So tell me about what's happening now, the season that you're in terms of Sabrina, and there's Nathan and Sabrina as well, the charity and the consultancy.
Oh, goodness. There's a lot of things.
I've been,
remembered. I'm glad, because I can't remember. So for us at the moment, so for Sabrina, I am still doing the charity. I'm the CEO of the charity until I can find someone to level up and become the CEO of the charity. That is an ambition. I do have a succession plan. I don't intend to be the CEO of First Class Foundation forever. That would be ridiculous. And I also think there are phenomenal people that are way better than me that can do this. So that is something that we are planning for.
Wow, that's fantastic.
That is something we're planning for. It was never my intention, even though it was my idea to set up a charity. It wasn't my intention to be the forerunner of it forever. And the charity is continuing to, reduce youth violence, improve mental health resilience, and connecting people to positive things, whatever they may be, as long as it's good, we try and connect them to it.
Yeah.
In terms of legacy consultants, oh my goodness, we are training like never before. So we're delivering a lot more of our anti-racist training. It's called Navigating the New Terrain of Race, specifically tailored to organisations that want to have challenging and difficult conversations around anti-racist practice, and we kind of facilitate those safe spaces for them. So that's happening. That's still happening alongside the charity. So we do the two things hand in hand. But the new stuff, so I have my new thing. It's not a new thing. It's just, you know, on time. And it's called Leaders Lounge.
Okay.
And that is for women, leading women. It's called Leading Ladies. I get them together in a very intimate space. So there's never more than 10 women in the room. And we are talking C-suite, executives, entrepreneurs, senior leaders, to come together, and no pitching, no networking, no sharing your job title if you don't want to. This isn't that. This is a safe space, a downtime space where you can just breathe and listen. Have some fun. We play some games. We do some talking. We share stories. I share stories. I tell them things that might empower them to hold who they are and be who they are. So in this space, I'm not Sabrina the CEO. I'm not the business owner. I'm not the mom. I'm not the wife. I'm Sabrina. And I encourage women to drop their roles and titles, down their tools, and just be themselves in that space. So it's a very sacred space. Some very, very deep conversations are had. Very personal things are shared. People cry. People laugh. People are up. People are down. I leave them all sewn up after. But it's just a real safe environment, because I felt like even on my own leadership journey, that wasn't something that was there. So following on for that, because obviously you don't know when to start working, Nathan and Sabrina. So we are together launching a few things. We have an audiobook podcast coming very soon.
Exciting.
Where we're going to be digging deeper into marriage, relationships, business. That's our three things, obviously, as a couple we do together. And we're really going to go in on a relational level. So we're not talking business. We're not talking about how to win a pitch or six-figure sums and stuff like that. We're talking about what the impact of that is on your marriage and how you can navigate that. We're talking about navigating parenthood. I mean, that's a whole thing. We're navigating finance. We're navigating each other. Like, we're going in and we're being honest and real about it. You know, like when bailiffs are knocking the door, what are you doing? Because that's a real scenario when they come and say, right, cutting off your electric and putting you on a meter because you haven't paid the bill, because you haven't had any money. We're going in and we're talking real truths. We're talking about how we've managed to do this. And we're celebrating marriage. And yes, guys, we can be married. Marriage is good.
Marriage is not a bad thing.
Marriage isn't a bad thing. So we're coming out with that. More events. So we've got a Naked 4.0, 5, I don't know what number it is now, but another Naked event coming in May. And something that we are hoping to do later down the line with our family is to take our family conference that we do as a family to a community or national type event.
Oh, wow. So what does that look like?
So our annual family conference is we run our house like a business, as you can see, but we're the CEOs of our family, right? And you are the CEO of yours. You can choose how it works. You can put things into place.
Just tell my husband that, please.
He's the CEO. You do the whole thing together. You do it together. But one of the ways that we've helped to kind of, I guess, set the values and the vision and the goals and stuff. So people do annual goal setting. I get like New Year's, Christmas Eve, New Year's, people kind of, right, my goals for 2024 are, my goals for this are, I want to achieve that by, well, we have that for a family, but we do it in the summer holidays. And it's happened since around 2009, 2010. And it came because we just moved a house and then we had a shell, nothing in the house, just not even flooring, just like concrete. They built the house and we moved in it. Like, that's how it was. So we had to really vision and dream. Part of that also was setting our values for our home of how we should live. But we do that on an annual basis. So every year we do our family conference. It's vision, it's values, remind ourselves the values. It's what we're going to do as a family to help others, kind of things we're going to do together as a family, and things we're going to do individually. So we all have our individual goals as well. Every one of my children have got a vision board. They've got notebooks, they've got journals, they've got all of those things that we use for ourselves, and we passed it on to them. But we figured that with or without faith, the principles that we use within that family conference could be adopted to every family. Whatever your family makeup is, you know, it doesn't matter what it looks like, but I believe that when a family can work together and they're on the same page and they share common values and they might have common goals that you want to achieve together, your family's working together, your family's talking, your family's communicating, and everything you do is measured by what you said you would do as a family. So there's no time for, well, we don't share, because sharing is our values. So if someone comes around to our house and they're hungry, we share our food.
Yeah.
That's the values that we decided as a family that we would live by. But we felt like we needed to teach that. So rather than having it on like a one-off thing, we thought we'd do it as like an event, a big conference with some food and some entertainment. We provide all the resources and we're going to share how you can do it yourself.
Amazing. A lot of people would look at this, will watch this and say, this is intense.
This is intense.
I
know it is.
But you have got success stories from doing this. And it's probably not for someone to adopt all of it, maybe some of it. Yeah. But can you testify to this working?
If I can tell you, every family conference has resulted in every child achieving their visions for themselves. It's not really, it's about us as a family, but also instilling that in them, that self-belief, and that you can vision and you can dream and you can achieve. The schools that they all go to, my daughter wanted to go to grammar school. They told her, stories probably common to a few people, you're never going to get in, you're not good enough. And they told me that to my face and her face when we were at parents' evening. You're not going to get in. It's a competitive environment. You shouldn't even try.
Oh.
She tried. She got in. She's doing her GCSEs this year.
Amazing.
So that was on the back of her door. I remember it. She stuck it on the back of the door and it said, I want to go to this grammar school and I want to do these subjects and blah, blah, all these different things. And everything she wanted to do has happened. The same for performing arts, the same for learning instruments, the same for going on holidays. You know, and it wasn't like a shopping list of things, but it was just something that made them think, I want to dream big. My daughters, my eldest daughter, I want to be a pilot. She's starting her lesson soon. So that is stuff that comes from this whole visioning exercise. That sort of stuff.
And as a family, you look like you really enjoy spending time together.
Yeah, most of the time. No, we do.
So we're coming to the end, but I want to take you back to the projection you had, because you said it was such gusto. Mercedes SLK, 2-seater, you know, bag. We know what the projection was then. But now?
Oh, it's the same cut. No, it's not.
What does the future look like?
Oh, gosh. You know, this future looks completely different to that original, quite short-sighted projection. I mean, that's quite like, come on, Sabrina. You might want to give someone a lift. Yeah, no, I think now it's much more about others, service. So leadership. I'm in a situation where I'm leading in lots of different arenas, but leadership to me equals service. So how can I serve where I can serve? The future for me also just looks very much more calm, a lot more peaceful. We're in a season of dissemination, so lots of sharing of how we've done what we've done to this point. And I think the Nathan and Sabrina stuff is more like the legacy stuff. So it's how we are doing it and who can we help now to get to achieve what we've achieved, if that's what you desire. I think I'm not so much in a place of getting anymore. It's more a place of giving. I really want to be able to support more women. I want families to be strong, robust, like close-knit, tight families, so that we have these amazing communities that can achieve and aspire to do great things and then smash it in the world societally. Wow.
So thinking of all of that, I'm going to ask you, because the show is called The Social Corner.
Yeah.
And when we talk about when we use the word social, we're talking about the social issues, the things that we are championing, the things that we are, wanting to see a difference in. I'm thinking about your charity. I'm thinking about you and Nathan. I'm thinking about the consultancy. I'm thinking about so many different things that you embody. How do you want to see your social corner evolve in the next 5 to 10 years?
5 to 10. it's not enough time. I think it's basically what I said, you know, that I believe it all starts at home. I believe it starts at family. And I want to see families be working together, visioning together, dreaming together, having a shared set of values that they believe in, that they follow, that they just didn't write down and forget about. I want to see strong families because I believe that, you know, when I look at my history, I come from a strong family, despite all of the things that have happened. My mom and my dad and my brother and my sister, we came from a strong unit, strong family with vision, with values, and plans and goals and things that we wanted to do and places that we traveled to together, things like that. But I want to see that for all families. And I don't mean that it has to be husband and wife. I just mean that togetherness. However your family's made up, it doesn't matter. That's, to me, is irrelevant. What's relevant is how you work together, how you align yourself to your core values and you believe in them and you walk in them. And then you work together and you support one another to lift each other up. So if it's, for instance, in our relationship, if it's me doing more, like at the moment, I'm going to be visible. God. Nathan won't be as visible because I'll be pushed forward for a little bit, but then it might change and it's Nathan's turn, or it might be that we both go together, but that's okay. And learning to walk in that and know that that's all right.
Yeah.
So I want to see that. I want to see families being the best that they can and having the most amount of support and being respected as families as well. That's really important because that's when we get great communities that we can contribute to society.
Sabrina, it's such an amazing vision. And, you know, it's one I stand behind, and I don't think I've actually heard it articulated the way you spoke about it today. But I think you're right. I think build the family, build society, build community. And so I'm championing your social vision, your vision. And I've never asked this question, but I do want to ask very quickly, for a woman or a young lady watching this interview right now, and I don't know what stage she might be in her life, but what would you say to anybody who is aspiring to do more, but might not be in the situation they want to be in right now?
Trust yourself and do it. Trust yourself, do it. Feel the fear, feel it, accept it, it's there, and do it. You've got nothing to lose, you know. I think we always think about what's going to happen, but if you don't try, you don't ever find out. So just go for it, go for it, and ask for help. There is absolutely no weakness in asking for help every single day. How do I do that, please? Where's that, please? Can you show me that, please? Can you tell me which way to go? I'm always asking someone for something, not because I don't know, but because I need a little bit of help on the way. There's nothing wrong with that, but just try, just do it. Trust yourself. Because I think that no vision came from me, it came from God. Nothing that I have done has been out of my phenomenal mind, to be quite honest. I've just been, I like to think, as obedient as I can be. And the areas where I wasn't obedient, that's where I can see. Where it didn't work, I can see. So trust it. Trust what, if you're hearing you've got to set up a business, or you've got to go apply for a job, or you've got to go re-educate yourself and go back to college, you're hearing that you've got to stay at home and look after your children. Trust it. There is a reason for it. As I said, every single time I've listened, it's worked out in my favour. Yeah.
Trust it. I love it. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Pleasure.
It's been a breath of fresh air.
Hopefully. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Why am I saying? Yep, thank you.
You're leaving.
I knew something was wrong. Okay, cut. Yeah, brilliant. Yay!